What's going on, Mixed Reactions? It's Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. I'm Ian. I'm with Casey and Justin. How you fellas doing today?
Living the dream, brother.
Amen.
Hanging in there. Hate them ingrown hair, so I had to lose the beard and the mustache today. So it's a little dry
De-aged
here.
about 10 years.
A little bit, a little bit. Um, Speaking of teams who need to de-age, the Boston Celtics. I mean,
Yeah, it's got to be talked about. I mean, Justin, we called it right off the bat, buddy. Last show, we said we think they'd find a way to win game five and would run out of juice in game six. And, that's exactly what happened. They didn't have the firepower to match with what the Knicks were putting out there on Saturday, last Friday. And it was evident by, midway through the second quarter that the game was a wrap. It was done with, lights out, season over, ain't nothing left to do but the crying.
mhm,
And I'm not one to be, delusional on the situation. We were down 3-1 even with Jason Tatum in the lineup. So who knows if we would have came back and won that series regardless. In my opinion, this series was lost when they blew two 20-point leads at home in games one and two. I think a big majority of this series falls at the feet of Joe Mazzulla,
mhm,
refusing to alter anything in the game plan, continuously leaving people in the lineup who were struggling and leaving people in the lineup who weren't adding much value to the game during that point in
mhm.
time. Give credit to the Knicks. It's their first Eastern Conference title championship appearance since what, 99 or 2000, I believe.
2000,
2000 when they lost to
2000.
Indiana.
Um,
Yep.
and so where they lost to Indiana, well, it looks like history is going to repeat itself because I got Pacers in five.
Yeah.
You guys don't like the Knicks, or do you really
Never
like the
have, never
Pacers?
will. Never have, never will. But I trust the Pacers. I trust the Pacers' youth more than I trust
Yeah,
the Knicks' street key. Yes.
The
I think
Pacers, uh,
what's going to define the series more than anything, to be honest, is the Pacers' offensive tempo. It
Yeah.
seems like the past couple of years they've been leading the league in offensive tempo. It's just this year their efficiency is much better. Tyrese Halliburton has taken a dramatic step up from where he was a year ago. Of course, you can't deny the fact of Miles Turner either being one of the best big men 3-point shooters in the league. Obviously, the Knicks have a better one in Karl Anthony Towns as far as a 3-point shooter, but I trust Miles Turner in the end. At the end of the day, more than I would Karl Anthony Towns. I just feel the Pacers are going to be too offensive savvy for the Knicks to
Hmm.
figure out. I think the Knicks could get one, possibly two, but I'm going Pacers at the most in six in the series.
I would agree. I've got the Pacers in five as well. Um, Halliburton, and I've said before, and I'll say it again, don't sleep on him. I mean, I think that they were talking about earlier this year, like before the season started, that Jason Tatum would be playing with a chip on his shoulder from being kind of scrubbed from the Olympics. Halliburton got scrubbed even worse.
Yeah, absolutely, he did.
So I think he has a better chip on his shoulder, or a bigger chip on his shoulder than Tatum did. Because the other thing we would that a lot of people would say about Jason Tatum is that he wasn't getting a lot of the spectacle, the spotlight. I can count about like 5 or 10 different commercials that now he's involved in now, whereas a year or so ago he was not even remotely involved.
No, I agree, and you got to think. Obviously, Halliburton, like you said, he got the shorter end of the stick than Tatum did during that Olympic run,
Hmm.
and I see why he would have that chip. Of course, I don't consider Tyrese Halliburton a uh, superstar elite level player in
No,
this league. But
but an
he's a
above average to elite, I'd say.
yes, yes, of course. He's a bona fide star. I think if they win the championship, which I don't think they will, because I think whoever wins the West is going to get the title. But I feel that this could propel him to a superstar. And
Hmm.
Indiana is going to be one of those preferential good teams for years to come, assuming they can keep this core together. Um, the same thing with the Knicks, I suppose. Jalen Brunson has seriously turned this whole franchise around, and I give him all the credit in the world for doing so. The
Hmm.
Knicks were an afterthought before he got there, and even when he arrived in New York, people were questioning if he's even a top 10 player at his position, let alone a
Hmm.
top 10 player in the league. And he's erased all of that doubt, no question about it. So I think it could be an interesting series for moments, I just
Hmm.
think that the Pacers are going to edge them out in pretty much every game. I don't foresee it being a detrimental gentleman sweep. I don't think the Pacers are going to blow them out and
Hmm.
3 out of the 4 wins. I think they're going to be pretty competitive games.
Hmm.
But that Pacers offense is elite, and I think
Hmm.
it's going to show. I think it's going to show.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about Indiana, and I've been going back and forth on this series. They have six guys averaging at least 10 points a game. They have eight guys averaging at least 8 points a game. They have Siakam, Turner, Nimhard, Neesmith all shooting at least 40% from three. And the thing I liked about New York and I said before the season started was the acquisition of Mikal Bridges. We saw him come in there and make big plays. We saw him make the big play at the end of game two.
One and
Um,
two.
yeah,
Yeah.
one and two. But I don't. I don't foresee a way that New York's going to win, man. I've said New York a few times, but Indiana's just a better team. I mean, they could shoot their ass off. Tyrese Halliburton, yeah, I mean he's going crazy right now. I mean he carried them last series, and Siakam's playing out of his mind. Now, granted, New York, Karl Anthony Towns, I mean he's had his moments. And then Jalen Brunson, most clutch player in the NBA. They have the elements around. They
Hmm.
have the supporting cast. I honestly like them better last year. Achua, we'll see if he's going to get more minutes coming in. The only thing that worries me about Indiana is I don't see a way that they're going to be able to stop New York consistently. I mean, 'cause you guys watch the Celtics series. I mean, Anunoby is getting one open three after another, and it seems like they
Right.
can't.
You know,
Not even they can't close out. I mean, New York can just shoot. So we'll see what happens.
in the games that the Celtics really choked away, Anunoby was the one going off for the most part. When he was going off, the Knicks were running. If
Yeah.
he wasn't
No,
going off, then the Knicks were tanking, and in terms of they just
Mhm.
kind of sucked. So I
OG
think if
Anunoby is the heartbeat of that team. He's not their best player, but he's the heartbeat
no,
of that team. He's the
right.
engine that makes it go.
Hmm.
And I think that's going to be crucial for this series because you're absolutely right. If Anunoby can't get it going in the series, which I'm not saying he won't be able to, have a decent series, he's not going to be the reason the Knicks lose.
Hmm.
But if he's not a main contributing factor on offense and defense, then they're really going to have a struggling series for sure.
Yeah. Sad to see the
But it's
Celtics go down the way that they did, but I mean, like as we've been saying, all good things come to an end.
yeah, yeah, Friday was definitely the last time we're going to see the Celtics as currently constructed, for sure. There's a lot of rumors of what they should do in the offseason. There's a lot of rumors of, potentially trying to trade Jaylen Brown and Derek White to Dallas for the number one pick. I
Don't see that
don't know.
happening.
I don't know how I feel about that. There's also rumors of trying to get Miles Turner or Jimmy Butler. Hell, there's even a Kevin Durant rumor out there right now. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, I think Brad Stevens is a competent enough GM that I think we're going to put a solid product on the floor next year, and I think we're going to be a competitive playoff team. And I hope that Jason Tatum's injury is more on the 9 month side than the 12-month side to the recovery, because that would have him back in late January, early February, right around the time where the playoffs would be starting to ramp up and well, not ramp up, but the season would be starting to ramp up and the playoffs would be right around the corner. And hopefully he
Hmm.
could be back at that time frame because with a fully loaded Celtics team with Jason Tatum, if there's Tatum and Brown and we add a couple pieces around them, I would have no worries about them going into the playoffs next season. I would be very, very confident they could at least make another deep run. You got to think,
There was
Justin,
some,
this is the earliest an NBA season has ended for Boston in 3 years.
it's been a while. I mean, barring again, I think this is the first time in Tatum's career that the Celtics have missed the conference finals, if I recall correctly, or one maybe the second year total in his career.
Uh, let's see,
You're right.
2020, in the bubble year, was that
They
the conference
Against
lost to
final?
my
Miami. Hmm. And then 2021, they lost to
yeah, but outside of
Milwaukee.
that, Milwaukee.
Look,
No, we were no the series we lost to Milwaukee. We were it was the Eastern Conference Finals.
No, that was the second round because we beat
Was
the
it?
Pace.
Oh, you know
Yeah,
what? Yeah,
that's
because the
so.
Bucks beat the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals. 2022, you lost to the
Oh, that's
Warriors.
right. That's right.
2023,
That's right. That's
you
right.
lost to Miami. So I mean,
But
pretty much.
again,
Hmm.
It's
most
the
of
third
his
time.
career, we've been in the Eastern Conference Finals while he's been on the lineup.
Yes, there's
But
only been one time where we haven't made the second round.
Mhm. But there's also something that I think needs to be said. In game five, without Jason Tatum, the Celtics looked like a better team as a team. At least
So
the flow of the game, the way that their ball movement was flowing was
I
much
agree. I,
smoother
I
than
agree with that, but I think that was more of a desperation, gut it out, give everything you have type of game that led to that, more so
right.
than it being the absence of Jason Tatum. Like,
But my point being that the offense was so Tatum centric that maybe you have to think about putting in another player around Tatum or Brown or trading one of them to have that level of flow.
let's put it like this. I
I'm not supporting the idea necessarily, but the the proof was in the pudding right there that you could see that when it's not one person walking the ball up every single possession, things were smooth.
because if you're breaking it down from an individual player talent perspective, Tatum's far and away the best player on the Celtics. Far and
Not
away.
even close. Not even close.
So I understand your point as the ball. They did look like the better team for that one night. You know what I mean? The ball movement was smoother. It looks like everyone was touching the ball. There was more cuts to the basket. There was more fluidity within the offense, right?
Hmm.
And so I agree. If the game plan is working fully intact, then yeah, that can work. But then when you bring it to Friday, I'll say this: if Jason Tatum was healthy and playing, ain't no way Boston lost by 36. Not saying they'd win the game, but they would have been in it
Hmm.
because when the
Yeah.
shots aren't falling, when there's still no movement on the offense, Tatum will find a way to get buckets.
Hmm.
He's that special of a player. And so I think you have to kind of almost pick your
Handicap,
poison,
handicap it, handicap game
kind,
six.
kind of, because, like you said, game five, you're right. But I don't think what they did in game five is sustainable for a full season.
And that's what I was gonna say. I don't think what they were showing in game five was something that they could replicate night and night.
Yeah,
But
the
it, it
team,
was it was very nice to see that level of
yes,
fluidity.
yes, but the team overall is not better without Jason Tatum. That
No,
no,
I'm not saying in no way, shape, or form am I suggesting that they are. But when it comes to a desperation type of game, that level of fluidity was what you needed. And that level of fluidity is what you need consistently anyway. You don't need to be chucking up 63s a freaking night.
no, you don't, you don't. But I think we should move on to the Western Conference, boys, and I want to talk about the Denver Nuggets here really quickly, and mainly I want to talk about Nikola Jokic.
Hmm.
So there was one point in the game where Nikola Jokic went off the floor for about 2 minutes and 48 seconds, right? You guys know the run? You just throw out a number of what you think OKC went on a run, and that was 2.5 minutes that Jokic was off the floor.
15-2.
You're correct in the point differential,
13-0.
13-0 run in just under 3 minutes without Nikola Jokic. That man, if Nikola Jokic, the whole stigma about Nikola Jokic, right? It's he treats basketball like a job. He doesn't have a true passion for it. He doesn't care if he wins titles. He wants to play basketball and go home to his horses. Which, if that's what he truly wants to do in his life, all the power to him. I have no hate for that. But if he wants to go down as the greatest center ever, and if he truly wants more titles, he's got to get out of Denver. He was by himself a good majority of these playoffs. Yeah, Jamal Murray had some moments where he showed up. He really did. But this team, without Nikola Jokic, if you replaced, say, Nikola Jokic with Bam Adebayo, this Denver Nuggets team would miss the playoffs.
Easily.
That
He's the best
that
player
is
in the league.
by a
You take
wide
Jokic
margin.
off the roster and put anybody in his place, the Nuggets are still out of the playoffs. They may be in the
Shay's
play-in.
I wouldn't say
Shay's
anybody.
still
I
gonna
want
win
him
it
to
though.
go. Yeah. Yeah, Shea's still going to win. Yeah, of course. But Shea's going to win MVP, yes, but he's not the best player in the league. It's Jokic. And I think he needs a change of scenery, just like Giannis needs a change of scenery. There is so much happening this NBA offseason, guys. Obviously, Jokic is still under contract. He's not going anywhere.
Of all the
But I
NBA
don't.
big men, I think if you put Giannis on the Nuggets instead of Jokic starting big man, you probably wouldn't be making the starting. Probably wouldn't be making the playoffs, in
I
my
agree.
opinion.
Just Giannis.
I agree.
I probably would say the same thing. They're the
Aside
two
from
best players
Giannis,
in
Yeah,
the league.
yeah. Jokic and Giannis. But people forget how fucking just phenomenal Giannis is just
Yeah, they
because of the
forget.
struggles
Oh
he's
God, he's
had.
the second best player in the league, I think, personally.
Yeah, I agree.
because it's
I
Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's kind of like becoming an all-star.
Yeah, no, they are. You can make a case for SGA, you can make a case for Luca, you can make a case for Giannis, and so I agree with you, Ian, personally, that I think Giannis is the second best player in the league. But I think Jokic is undisputably, unless you're Sean Gardner, the best player in the league.
Who the fuck did Sean? What shit did Sean say now?
You see
You
Luca?
saw what he said last night. He said Anthony Edwards is the best player in basketball. It's like,
Oh,
no,
that's right. That's right.
Was he being
he's not.
serious?
Yes, it's Sean. Of course he was being serious.
I think he's probably. I mean, Anthony Edwards is probably the second best player left in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
behind SGA,
Behind
I'd say he's probably
SBA.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with
Better than
that.
Halliburton? Yeah, he's better than Halliburton.
Yes, he's better than Halliburton. Yes,
Look how
absolutely.
much he's improved
But
as a shooter. Yeah, I give it to him. Halliburton's probably number. I say I don't know.
Number
Brunson maybe
four,
number three or town.
I'd put Halliburton
Ian, is
four,
this
maybe five at most,
is
at worst.
Ian? Is this Boston bias? I think Tatum's better than Anthony Edwards.
Oh no, we were just talking about the players left in the. Oh yeah, no, Tatum is better than Edwards. I don't even consider Edwards in the conversation with Tatum as of right now. Like, look at the stats you were talking about last week. We weren't talking about if he was going to get his jersey retired. I don't think we were talking about something in like the amount of 30 point games he's.
Where would Tatum be on the Celtics Mount Rushmore if he
I,
were to retire? Right.
Okay, yeah. So
mm,
that's what I'm saying. I wasn't trying to sound biased or anything, but I personally I think Tatum's better than Anthony Edwards.
I don't think that's even questioned in my opinion.
nah,
Anthony
they're
Edwards
on
may be
different
more
levels.
flashy in terms of like because Anthony Edwards is like on a nightly basis wants to make every night a dunk contest in some regard, but it's in terms of overall play, Tim's buying like leaps and bounds better.
I think Edwards is arguably the better defender,
Arguably, I think you can make the argument, sure, but overall,
but
all around player, no,
no,
not even close.
Tatum's a better playmaker, better driver of the basket. Probably roughly around the same 3-point shot. They're both pretty streaky at times.
I'd take
Um,
Tatum over Anthony Edwards if you get in a vacuum.
in a vacuum, yeah, for sure. But back to the real point here, Jokic. This is turning into LeBron's first stint in Cleveland. He just
Mm.
happened to get a title. He has not. Aaron Gordon is a player that keeps getting better, better, and better. And I have so much respect for Aaron Gordon, especially playing on that MCL injury that he had.
That tipping was sick. Not gonna lie.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I know he's a scorer. I understand it. But will someone tell Michael Porter Jr. you don't have to shoot the ball every time it touches your fucking hands? Like, I'm not even a Nuggets fan, and that's still annoying to me. Like, there's a thing called an assist, Michael. You can
Mike
pass the basketball.
Michael
Honestly,
never
that was
swing the
kind of
rock for
annoying me with
anything.
Pritchard at one point for the Celtics because every time Pritchard would grab the ball, he'd either chuck it up or something.
With Pritchard, the only thing that drives me the most, not even the shots that he takes about Pritchard, the excessive ball handling sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that was a problem with the Celtics too. And one more thing I got to say that I didn't want to say on the show that I have to now.
Mm.
Jaylen Brown needs to learn to dribble with his left hand. I can't believe I'm saying that about an NBA player, but he needs to learn to dribble a basketball with his left hand. He
Yeah,
can't do it.
no, he can't.
How many times did he try to dribble left hand? Boop, little poke out. Oh, Brown with another turnover. Brown another turnover. It happened countless times.
Yeah.
And I love Jaylen Brown. I do. He was Finals MVP for a reason. He fucking deserved every second of it. But no, that not okay.
No.
You're an NBA basketball player. You need to be able to dribble the ball with your left hand.
Tough break, man. I was really thinking the Celtics could. New York has it really. I mean, they're good,
The Celtics,
and
even with Tatum getting hurt, the Celtics had absolutely no business not sweeping New York.
No, I will go to my dying grave. The Celtics lost this series more than the Knicks won it. And
Yeah.
this was by far the worst example of a team winning a series 4-2. Like I go Celtics are far and away the better team than the
I
Knicks.
know
Far.
maybe a bad example of winning 4-2, but I think the Nuggets when they beat the Lakers, I think last year, Lakers were on most of the series. The only reason, I mean, because I would have said that if New York didn't completely curb stomp them in game six, they didn't have Tatum, but I mean, Boston was up. They were up for a good amount of the series, but I think game six didn't offset it completely, but it kind of
I think
But
that game
games 1 through 5, the Celtics could have curbed something by 20 every single one of those games.
yeah, absolutely. No, see
mm.
the game 6 was the anomaly of the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Because
was.
that was the one game that the Knicks dominated from start to finish, realistically. The one
Ian,
game.
it's almost like this, right? It's almost like the 2017 NBA Finals in game 4, I believe it was, when Cleveland was down 0-3 and then they beat the Warriors by 27 in game 4.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I
It did,
remember.
it's the most anomaly shit ever. Like obviously it's different scenarios because the Knicks were up 3-2 at that time, but at the same time, it was the Celtics still spent a majority of that series up double digits, and
There, well,
they failed to close out 3 games. They should have swept them. This series should
Mhm.
have been a sweep. They were up 20 in game 1, up 20 in game 2. They won game 3 and were up 14 in the third in game 4. Like if you're a championship caliber team,
You close them
there's no
out.
excuse. You close them out. And so one of two things are going to happen with Boston, right? And I hate to say it, I think it's going to be the latter. So the first thing that I think could happen is they're going to rebound just fine. They'll be a contender. Tatum will come back in February, and they'll be right back to who we've known them to be with Tatum, Brown, White, and other pieces. Because it's not going to be Horford, it's not going to be Holiday, it's not going to be Porzingis. So I think it's going to be Tatum, White, and Brown, and I think they're going to continue on and be the contenders that we know them to be. Or they're going to become the Nuggets. They're going to become the Bucks. They're going to become the Raptors. They're going to become the Lakers. Just a one and done championship team that makes the playoffs but doesn't truly contend.
With the uncertainty of Tatum injury comeback, you can't say it's not going to be the latter right now. You really
Agreed.
can't. But that until proven otherwise, assume the latter and hope for the better.
Agreed. Now, quick question: who do you guys have in the West? You got the Thunder, or you got the Timberwolves?
I got the Wolves.
I got the Thunder in 7.
I got Minnesota in 7. I think again. I think you can go either way, but I got Minnesota winning that one.
Thunder and
That's
six.
fair. You got Thunder in 6.
They're just too good
Now,
defensively.
even though I picked the Pacers, I think the most intriguing finals matchup would be Knicks Wolves. Carl Anthony Towns going back to Minnesota, Julius Randle
Yeah,
going back to New York.
for
That'd be
like
super intriguing.
it would be an interesting. I mean, if anything, for the storylines for sure.
Yeah,
But I mean, for me, I mean, it's the NBA and the season's winding down, but for me, the NBA season's over. That's just for me personally. It is what it is. Um, but what I will say is that it wasn't without its the season. The playoffs weren't without its we're looking for I'll come to you, but it wasn't without some drama.
One
there was a lot
storyline.
of drama.
No,
one
it
story.
wasn't without its drama. So
Go ahead, Ian.
One storyline for the finals. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges playing against DiVincenzo. Because remember, all four
Yeah.
of them were gonna play
mm,
together,
they
and then
were.
uh,
Yep.
and then did was it DiVincenzo got traded right before the season.
Yep.
But it would be fun, man. I mean, you think about it. There's gonna be a team. The last time any of these franchises won a championship, if you want to count it, was 1979. The Thunder were the Sonics. But the Knicks haven't won since 73. The Pacers have never won. The Timberwolves have never even been. So it's gonna be fun, man. I mean, there's gonna be a seventh straight year. There's gonna be a new champion. That's the first time it's ever happened in league history. So buckle up, man. I know you guys don't want to watch the playoffs, man, but I mean, I think it's gonna be fun. I don't think we
I'll
have
still
too
tune in,
many.
but I'm not gonna actively watch.
My Clippers
That's
got
what I'm saying.
fucking the
Yeah,
As
sh
he got curb stomped.
That's putting it
as
lightly.
I said in the chat, I'm never watching an NBA basketball game again, fellas. Till October.
Yeah.
No,
Um, changing
I'll be
gears.
watching.
Uh,
I'll watch the
changing
finals for sure. Sorry,
changing
go ahead.
gears though. Another year, another misery in Toronto. Another year of misery.
Oh my God, man! You want to talk about a team that can never get it done? Talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, man. This team is allergic to prosperity. They choke every game seven imaginable. I don't understand how this is a continuing process with the Toronto Maple Leafs. It is
Brad Marchand,
embarrassing.
who scored the game stealing goal for the Florida Panthers, is 5-0 in game sevens against the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, did you hear his post game comment?
I grew up a Maple Leafs fan, so it's great. Something like that. He
Oh
said something like
man,
he grew up being a Leafs fan. So
that 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 too. But he also said when he's talking about like the Panthers, he said we have a belief in ourselves.
oh God. Oh man.
He's a troll.
He is. I mean, he's a great hockey player. I mean, I think he's a bit of a nuisance on the court, on the ice. It's in from a gamesmanship perspective, but not without his flair. He's got the flair about it at least. But no, but I'm pulling for Carolina, formerly the Hartford Whalers, to make their run. So that's who I've got.
What's that?
I've got the former Hartford Whalers, the Carolina Hurricanes. I've got them. I'm pulling for them. Not to mention half my family's from Carolina, so that works out too for me.
You know
Let's, go ahead.
what I was thinking about earlier is I saw the Panthers were playing the Hurricanes later, and I was like, I was just thinking in my head like, does Justin just like the Hurricanes? Because he's always fucking talking about them, and not just the Bradley Nadeau thing. But I didn't realize you had family from Carolina. If you said that
Yep,
before, I must have forgot. That's cool.
yep. I happened to go to a Hurricanes game last season before the playoffs, and it's a great environment there at PNC Arena.
I think it's going to be Panthers and Edmonton, but I think Edmonton's going to get it done this time.
Let's see
Connor
it fly
McDavid needs to
north of
get
the
his
border,
chip.
man. What'd you say,
Yeah,
Justin?
Connor McDavid needs to get his chip.
Yeah,
He does.
it wouldn't be
He
right
does.
without one. What does Crosby have? Three or
Three,
Something
four?
like that. 3 or 4.
three. He's at three.
Um, but yeah,
So,
Maple Leafs just can't win for if you pay them, and they get paid so much money, and their fan base is so invested in it. It's gonna be our year. It's gonna be our year. It's ne
and they're so talented too. It's bananas
really
how they
they
get it
are.
done.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Hey, mixed reactions. So we are going to go ahead and cut this episode off into part two. We're gonna go ahead and dive probably into some more NBA and talk a little bit of NFL, but that way we don't just abruptly cut it off. We have a little bit more of a smooth transition. So we'll see you guys in just a second. Tune in for part two.